What was it like being around Paul Heyman as a young kid? And because you must have grown up watching parts of ECW, I think your dad did a shot there at one point. And what was it like working with Paul, and how would you describe him as a sort of creative mind?
I got so lucky because I got to OVW, and he was the promo/TV writer for the OVW's weekly TV. And I was like, man, my dad helped train Paul. Here's Paul to help train me. And then like 2 weeks later, Paul had left WWE, and they sent in. So it was a short interaction, but Paul is a master. Obviously, he's a master storyteller. He's a master motivator. Because I remember there'd be segments that were good, like those good segments, but this is developmental still. And he'd always say, it's a WrestleMania moment waiting to happen. And I don't know, but you'd leave feeling so good. So he was a master motivator, which in developmental you need. You don't need to just, wrestling is militaristic enough. You don't need to be told you suck every 5 seconds. Like, that type of motivation is nice. And he's a lot like my dad. He will tell you a lie that's enough of a truth that you can accept it, if that makes any sense. I always love Paul. It's like talking to my dad. And he's one of the few guys that when the chips are down, I don't mean to get so long-winded about Paul, but now I remembered I should probably mention this. So when the chips are down, and my dad had this reputation of, hey, I'll make $100 and I'll spend $200. This is just his way, him and Flair's way, as we know. And Paul Heyman in the ECW run, my dad, WCW, is getting ready to go out, and my dad had started his own independent promotion. It was a bit of a financial disaster. It was like throwing $3 million in a hole. A lot of fun, but wasn't lucrative. So we were out of money as a family. We were broke, but we didn't treat it as he and my dad always made it so we didn't feel as if we were broke. The quality of life was sustained. Like, remember the power went out one time, and I was like, are you kidding me? And I didn't say anything to him. This is my hero in life. I'm not going to say anything. But Paul Heyman called him and said, you can come to the Tabernacle in Atlanta for ECW. And I got a young kid, Steve Carino. He's going to say some things about you. If you show up, I'll pay you. You don't have to go in the ring. You don't have to do anything. And if you watch that clip, if you go back and watch tonight, Joey Styles is telling him, oh, cut the feed, all this. You can literally see my dad get his confidence back in one moment because the crowd was so receptive to it. He's wearing this ratty, like Cleveland Brown shirt. He was unaware of the ECW product and really what it was, but they were aware of him. And in that moment, that saved my dad. So I always hope for the day when I can do something like that for Paul. And Paul is doing clearly pretty well for himself, but at some juncture, I would really like to repay the favor, because at the end of the day, that's what the business is. Like, it's always taking care of one another in some capacity, and I'd like to take care of Paul.
What if that camera goes on early and it blows the whole angle? Hey, why don't we just duck down and then the camera goes on early? Nobody will see. And so we duck down by the dashboard, and I look over at him, and he says, can you believe they're putting us together? And I'm like, we're both gonna be fired in the next 4 weeks, don't you get it? And he goes, but the we're gonna stir in 4 weeks. They don't have a clue.